Peacemaker season finale. What a joke. I didn't know if I should make a video on the whole season or just the finale, as I'm sure all of you know, the season finale is pretty controversial as of lately. Like, that's all people are talking about, is whether they like it or not. I think it would be better if I went through the entire season and then told you my thoughts about the finale. It doesn't come as a surprise, but I thought the entire season was great. I thought it was amazing. I thought there was a bunch of character building that needed to happen, that made for a good story, and James Gunn did it very well. Especially the alternate timeline, or the alternate dimension stuff. Obviously, before I get into anything else, spoiler alert, the dimension, Earth X, or the bad guy dimension with the really bad people. I thought it was well done. I thought it was in a different and unique way, because with Marvel and everything having timelines and different dimensions and all that kind of stuff. Hearing that James Gunn is gonna have that as a focal point in the second season, you kind of get scared. Oh, are we going back to this trope of just everything is possible and anything is possible? Having that alternate universe, the really bad one, show like the other universes are fucked up. Like, it's not all just like cool pizza planets where Bruce Campbell's there and whatever. Shit's fucked up. Like in the finale, when they go and they open multiple doors, and there's like literally the Hellscape Nightmare door, there's the Candyland door where they fucking kill people. All the character development was really cool. It was really nice to see all these other characters kind of get into their own, and their stories were so different from the first season, to where it felt really nice to have all the personal growth, especially at the end of the season. Season 2 had some really cool things and some really gruesome things, like in episode 7 with Vigilante, killing Peacemaker's dad. Every fight scene was just amazing, and it was really well done, and the whole show was just well done. Now let's talk about the finale, because I feel like that should be maybe a majority, because I feel like it's kind of obvious when James Gunn creates something, especially his baby Peacemaker, that it's going to be good. In most senses of the word, it's just going to be good. Personally, I like it, but there's definitely, I have a lot of gripes with it. My main starter thing is that, first of all, just because James Gunn made a very divisive decision does not mean that the gun jammed or the gun is off or whatever. The gun's still firing. You just gotta, maybe it's a little cold and you gotta heat it up, Just because James Gunn made one thing that everyone was kind of like, what the fuck, does not make James Gunn a bad writer or director or whatever. I mean, Superman was amazing. Peacemaker season 1 and most of season 2, despite what people say was the finale. Your Guardians movies, you have even fucking Scooby-Doo. Another thing that I feel like I should mention is, I feel like people are a little too hard on the episode itself. They were like, oh, it was just interpersonal fucking relationships, and that was bullshit. It was a great episode. It made me very emotional, especially after watching the whole after James Gunn interview thing that he does with the guy who played Economos, who also looks like a high school teacher of mine. I think his wife is on that one, who is Amelia Harcourt, if you didn't know that.
The thing I find the most touching in the episode is when she looks at him and she says, you're big and you're dumb and you're stupid, but when I'm around you, I know you love me. And you might be the only person in the world that I can say that about. And I'm crying because it's touching, and the way she performs it is touching. I'm also crying because that's my dad. And that was the way I felt about him.
Hearing his story about his father, and I don't know, it's not like I'm giving him sympathy points because just because he had an emotional time writing it, but it was really touching to the heart. I don't think anyone really had that much of a bad reaction to Ads and her wife, or her ex-wife or whatever. I thought that was really well done. Now, I don't know why the fuck you'd want to open a pet store in Gotham, of all places.
Oh, hell no!
It's and she was right, you know, they're on two different like lengths of like wavelengths, and they have their own thing that they want to do. And it was just really sweet, and it felt really nice. And yeah, also the whole them buying Checkmate and making their own little corporation, I thought that was cool. This is where I'm finding it hard to find other things that I would say that I liked about it as a finale. Now, I don't think that a finale should have had cameo slop and just every single other scene was a fight. I'm really glad that James Gunn went the route of like connection. I thought that was really sweet, and it's something that he likes to do in a lot of his movies, and I really do appreciate that. First thing I want to talk about here is the special cameo. From what I remember, James Gunn had said something about there being a cameo, like a couple cameos, and after people saw Lex in what episode 6 or 5, 6 or 7, but whatever episode it was, seeing Lex, we only assumed that Superman was going to show up, or at least Ultraman with the the alternate dimension with the black hole, or whatever. We thought we were going to see someone else. Apparently, the special cameo was Foxy, Shazam, and the other band that nobody cares about. I think that the boat was a very good use of the time to like be able to explain their shaky relationship of Peacemaker and Harcourt. But the issue is that we sat through two different songs, one of them being the opening song. Now, I'm not saying that either song was bad, but I feel like when there is a finale going on and there's very high stakes, especially the first half of that whole thing with Argus and the Argus employees going in and coming out mauled and all that, like that, and seeing like Rick Flag's decline, that was crazy. And then it was just like, here's a music video and here's a music video. Like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world, but we could have used that time spent on something else. We already kind of understood that Harcourt and Peacemaker were up to something, whether that be intercourse or just a kiss or whatever. And it was nice to see it. I'm not saying it wasn't. As a cameo, I don't really want to see Foxy Shazam. Obviously, I'm not expecting to see some crazy shit. Like, I'm not expecting to see I almost said Thanos, but like Thanos at the end of Avengers or whatever. I'm not expecting to see like Darkseid or Apocalypse or whatever. I just wanted to see someone else, maybe someone who's relevant to the story. One of the things that really pissed me off was after they bought the Checkmate building. Um, I liked that little the thing between Adrian and Flurry. I thought that was a funny scene. Obviously, I don't like it doesn't need to be that big of a deal. To be like, "Oh, why do they make a joke at a time like this?" But the whole like them walking out of the fucking Checkmate building like it was a battle pass intro was just really weird to me, and it felt off. Now, moments like that where everyone's happy and having a good time, I'm not saying that James Gunn should have just shit on everyone, like fucking Peacemaker got shot in the head or someone, or they look up and see the Brainiac ship or something like that. But I was expecting, since there was so much quote unquote joy, that I thought something terrible was going to happen. And I kind of wish something terrible did happen. Speaking of terrible things happening, the complete end of the show, I'm sure you know. Oh, bars. So the complete end of the show had Christopher Smith, aka Peacemaker, in Salvation. And obviously that's super important because like James Gunn has been saying, this is directly leading into the next Superman movie, which is coming soon, Man of Tomorrow. It's very open to interpretation and open to what the hell is going to happen. If Lex and Superman supposedly work together, why is Lex funding Rick Flag to find salvation in the first place? What's going on with that? I like that. I think it was good that at the end, Peacemaker did get stuck in Sanctuary. What is it? Salvation? Whatever. But for them to be like two different concerts and like barely any exposition before that, just kind of felt off. I wish that happened at the end, but I wish other stuff happened too. This should be my final point. I feel like I've been talking a lot, but there is a lot to talk about with this finale. Rick fucking Flag Sr. Besides the actor not being able to have gray hair from Creature Commandos, which is really upsetting, but it's fine, I get it. It was like a contract thing. Seeing the decline of Rick Flag's character is monumentous to me because I don't want to say it's necessarily bad writing, and maybe I'm dumb to even like throw that out there. Rick Flag had so much development in Creature Commandos to the point where you would not understand why he would be doing coke with a bunch of Lex goons and making all of his squad mates die. Hey, this is Editing Revan. I thought it would be good to mention because it's a theory that I've been seeing around since making this video, but people are saying that it could be Clayface who is imitating Rick Flag. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad take or anything, but I do feel like the whole point of this show and the whole point of Rick Flag was that it was the decline from him losing his son due to Peacemaker and Lex manipulating that. I don't think it's Clayface personally, but it could be. It would make sense, and he's dealt with Clayface before, so it'd be kind of cool to see. But yeah, back to the video. Now, I do think there's obviously some like manipulation on Lex's part, and the manipulation of Peacemaker being metahuman or at least seemingly metahuman or something along those lines, and you know who killed his son, right? But when it comes to Creature Commandos, he's obviously very distraught about it, and I do think he has a right to be upset. And I think that fight scene, or not, it's not really a fight, but the scene where Rick Flag busts fucking John Cena's chin open, that's a good scene. That's what should have happened. But then we're going like down the rabbit hole of like evil doctor. And that's something I just don't really like. I feel like he was a little mischaracterized in this season, especially towards the end. If you learn anything from Creature Commandos, you learn that he's a dummy, but he always has a good heart. It's kind of like his son. And I know that maybe he doesn't like, he knows he can't forgive himself for letting his son die, so maybe he's just going to go down this path. But this is not the path his son would have wanted him to take at all. In Creature Commandos, if you watch Creature Commandos and then watch season 2 of Peacemaker, you would assume that Rick Flag would be the one in the front lines going into these other dimensions and trying to make sure that his team's safe, especially someone like Harcourt, who has been really close to him. But then at the end of the show, he just becomes this cold villain, and it's very interesting, to say the least. I do think that there's a workaround for James Gunn to be able to write, and obviously, maybe other people do like the fact that he just immediately swapped like that, and the fact that, you know, maybe this cuts a lot deeper and we just don't know the full story until Man of Tomorrow or whatever's next. All in all, I give the season finale a 6 out of 10, but I give the season an 8 out of 10. The finale was not my favorite, especially in terms of finales, but it's a great episode. If that was episode 7, I wouldn't have minded at all, or I wouldn't have minded. But yeah, that's pretty much my 2 cents that nobody asked for. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I am getting a new mic soon. Sorry if this sounds like poo poo. And I'm gonna focus a little bit more on making YouTube videos. So yeah, bye.